Hey,
Hello, good morning. Welcome in to another episode of Good Morning Nasdaq right here on the Clover Trading YouTube channel. It is 8:56 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. Um, it is the first day of January, February, March, April, year of our Lord 2025. This year is flying by. I hope you guys enjoyed your March. There was a lot of up and down action, a lot of uncertainty in the overall markets. We did an in person boot camp. I traveled to the West Coast. Huddie was all over the place as well. It was jam packed. And here we are entering the second day of the week and a whole new month. We are, what, one quarter of the way done with the year? Pretty insane stuff, Huddie.
that's pretty insane, bro.
Pretty wild, no?
I think it's wild.
And how do you feel going into the new month?
Um, Still feeling great. Still feeling great. We got a little rocked there in March. I had a green month, but it was my smaller green month of the year, smallest so far. I had my first red week throughout the month of March, for the year. So, when I say rocked, I mean, it really wasn't that bad. We made money, but um, it was a tough month. And I think a lot of traders felt that because we just, unless you did really well on the big cap, short-lived bounces, um, I know there wasn't a lot of opportunity to really, have a decent size of samples that, can either lose you some money and make you back some more. So I think it was a tough month, and that's part of trading. Those months exist, those years exist, right? So just learning how to preserve capital and adjust to those market conditions and whatever you have to do, be extra specific on what you're trading or size down if you're being aggressive in previous months because the market was favorable. Just being really willing to adapt, and just know that's part of the game. And like if you force it in those market cycles, you're going to give up a lot of good work. And so as long as I didn't do that, like I had a good month, and I didn't do that. So, um, like if I take two trades, I'm at all-time highs again. If I have two big winners. So, not a huge big deal. And as long as we avoid the ugly, trading can work out well for those that are able to preserve capital in the times that are rough.
Yeah, usually it's like pulling teeth trying to get Huddy to go into depth like that, but that was awesome. That was great, and that's I think a lot of people feel about March. I think we saw a similar market to January and February, but just with a lot less top tier plays. We had some outlier type of ideas if you were ready for them, but when it comes to just framework, big picture ideas, they were not as consistent as they've been in months past. And as we head into a new month, um, I'll be taking a lot of what Huddy said into consideration. Just trying to sit back for myself, wait for the best opportunities. Really, just make my watch list. If the plays are there, push the buttons, and if not, do something else. The weather will be getting nicer at home where I live, so that will be easier. But try to just be in control of my trading versus letting the market whipsaw me around depending on how it's acting on a given day, week, or month. But we got more people filtering in. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. It takes 2 to 3 seconds. If you check right now, boom, are we subscribed or not? If we are not, boom, we click it. Now we are. Everyone goes nuts. Everyone's happy. And we move along. Hit that thumbs up button. Get that number up towards 50 if you're interested in checking us out and hanging out with us all day, every day. You can consider joining 3 or 4 leaf clover over at clovertrain.io. Link in the description, or you just type it in the Googleinator. Um, but Huddy tells me, and if you weren't here yesterday, we are running on bare minimums here for the stream because I am traveling Kyle's traveling and Huddie doesn't know how to run it. So we are working with what we got. I don't have a scanner. Huddie is going to do us the honor of letting us know our first gapper of the day.
I will go from greatest to least. Number one, an oldie that I have traded for, I think the first time I traded it was 2017. So that means it is habitually going through the life cycle of a penny stock: reverse splits, dilution, fake PRs, reverse split, dilution, fake PRs. It's RSLS, an 81-cent stock. That's how I know. It shouldn't be 81 cents if it's been uptrending since the time I traded it in 2017. It's not. I think we could very easily probably go into the long-term daily chart and see that it's done a lot of reverse splits. I haven't even done that yet. I just know. But I'm probably jumping the gun there for what Dom usually likes to do. So before we go into the daily chart, let's go into the situation that it is. And Dom, you have nothing, so I have to do it all.
You just let me know. Give me some float information. Give me some cataly.
All right, I get all my float information off of Yahoo Finance. I don't care where you guys get your information. You guys can get it wherever you guys want. I think the main thing that I care about is it a low float? It's a 600K float as of Yahoo Finance. It's a 3 mil float on dilution tracker. Take whatever number you want, put it in a compartmentalized box, put it next to your heart and save it there for a later date. You know, they've been going through this like reverse split dilutive process. So I imagine they do have some type of complacency issue, some type of compliance issue is what I meant to say, some type of warrants that probably need to be approved. Here we got February 2025 warrant approval. Exercise price is 0, so it's cashless, meaning that kind of, it's not exactly an ATM, but can work that way. If they get the approval, they'll have 14 million shares from a very cheap price, if not 0, and can dump it onto the open market. And that would not be good for someone who is buying their stock, believing in the future of their company, because they need to make money, and this is how they're going to make money. They're probably going to be voting on that soon. You can look through the filings to find out exactly when that shareholder meeting is going down. I'm not going to do that right this second, but if I was looking to plan a trade, that is some information I probably want to know. They have 11.4 months of cash left and a quarterly cash burn of 1.25 million. Estimated current cash 4.8 million. So they're not dying, but they will. And they're the premier weight loss and metabolic health solutions company. Reshape Life Sciences, out of the country of the United States, healthcare sector, medical devices. How'd I do, Dom?
That's great. Let's move on over to the
Now we
daily
go to
chart
the daily
now.
chart, right?
Huh?
Now we go to the daily chart, right?
Now we head over to the daily chart. We take a look at that giant top left to bottom right type of chart that Huddie mentioned earlier. Reverse split after reverse split. You can kind of see some one and dones on the daily chart by just looking at the bottom. You can see over the past few years we got big volume spikes, and the stock doesn't really go into big runs. It's usually a big red candle that closes much lower than where it opens. The most recent few that I see on lower volume than we've already done today, we have a day in which it was a gap down that spiked and then was kind of ugly and weird, would not have been on our radars. And then most recently we've gotten some probably bad news or something that's gapped it down, and we've been basically under $1 since. But we did have a small little gap from the 1s to the 130s, a spike and failure on 30 plus million volume. So you have some resistance up into that area, into the mid to high 1s. But yeah, I guess my takeaway here is using everything Huddie said, understanding it's a long-term turd that's been a turd, and there's been no real big runs, no continuation. We said the same thing yesterday about ICCT in terms of the daily chart. That one was a big former runner a couple years ago and really hasn't run since. RSLS, similar makeup, similar price. I think it's important to note that we did have a really big squeezer yesterday with ICCT from this area. I think it opened around 50 to 70 cents, somewhere in there yesterday morning, for running into the 2s. I think that was pretty wild to see. I took my loss and got out of there. But yeah, it doesn't mean we necessarily have to get some amazing runners today from the gap list. It's possible that some are in sympathy, and if there are going to be sympathy, it's probably going to be similar types of stocks or similar prices of stocks. And this at least fits that one of those categories. But not a good history of running here, completely beaten down chart and some resistance overhead. So I think again it really comes down to a dollar. If it can hold over a dollar or under a dollar, that's kind of uh, a main psychological level. What do you think?
You know, when I woke up this morning, so I don't really look at individual tickers and try to play the guessing game. Not as much in my current place in my career with the way that I approach the market. Like I do think RSLS is a turd. Like there's no doubt about it. Um, does that mean it can't spike? Like that, like I don't know. Turds can spike. Oftentimes it's the scammiest of scammy tickers that are going to spike the most. I mean, Mullen just had a 100% move the other day and went right back to 10 cents in the same day. I'm rounding, but you get my point. So I do think RSLS is is dog water. It's dog water. I don't think that they are a great company. Um, I think they should fail. But my main thoughts, and like this will encompass all of the gappers today. My main thoughts as I come into today. Oh wow, RSLS isn't even the biggest gapper. Um, is that I like this market environment more for gapping craps, where you have more that's going on across the board. So it kind of spreads out the attention. Whereas like ICCT was really the only big gapper yesterday, and it's been a while since we've had really like 100% gappers. We went from a cadence of 7 gappers per week to pretty much barely even one. And you can imagine like a lot of short sellers are kind of crowding around that one ticker because the odds are quite decent that you can catch a fade. Um, so when it's all concentrated, I do think it's the results are more like 50-50. Whereas when you come into the market today and you have ICCT gapping up 50%, you have NMAX, which is an IPO from yesterday, gapping up 35% after running 700%. You have two other tickers that are up 100% just in pure gapper from this morning. The attention is going to be spread out. Now, again, one of them will squeeze. I think that's generally the odds. I think, like, again, generally, I don't know for sure. I don't know anything for sure. Um, but when the attention's spread out, I think it's harder to find that concentrated area of short sellers because they could be in any one of these tickers or in all of these tickers, and the buying power could be spread out. So I think it makes for a better environment for me, at least in my strategies, to catch a fade. So I'm grateful that RSLS is a dog water ticker. I'm glad to see it's up 100%. I'm excited. Like I'm personally, I will short it at some point, most likely. That doesn't mean I'm going to be right. But I don't like I'm not like necessarily fearful of the loss at all. Like if it happens, fine. Uh, that's kind of my thoughts towards anything that's going to fit my strategy today. I'm not really fearful of it. I don't really like have like yeah, I'm fine with today. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, and that's the interesting style that Huddy chooses to use. Kyle does things a little bit differently. I do things very similar to Kyle, but we get on here and we talk about the biggest runners and biggest gappers of the day. But what you decide to do with that information is up to you. Are you going to chase that ICCT unicorn, try to find the one diamond, in the 2 to 3 week cycle that is going to run hundreds of percents? Are you someone that's going to short every single open? Are you someone that's going to handpick the most turds with the most dilution? We're here to try to give you the information on what's going on. Some of it, a lot of what we talk about, isn't that relevant to what Huddy's doing, right? And you can learn that over in the Clover room, exactly what he's doing every single day. But some information really is valuable, and it's important to know exactly what you're looking to do with these things every day. Because if you just kind of look at them, and sometimes you're long on them, sometimes you're shorting them, and there's no real commonality, these things are really tricky and they can keep you on the hook for years without really ever finding consistency on them. Okay, next biggest gapper. What do we got? BIAF? Huddy?
Yes, BIA. Oh, me? Go again?
Yeah, you can hit me with the Cliff Notes version. Float, Cataly, all that good stuff.
Oh, you want Cataly? I didn't even do Cataly for RSLS.
Was there one?
Hang on. There usually is one for everyone. Um. Oh wow, RSLS is voting today on the reverse split and the February warrants. That's
Important.
interesting. I don't know what time, but again, good things to know if you're going to be trading it. Um, Biaf reports record 9.4 million revenue for 2024. For context, it did 2.5 million in 2023 and zero in 2022. So we have an upward trending revenue growth, but the revenue is there because of an acquisition into a company that provided that revenue for them. They do need funding, um, but they're sufficient to continue through April 2025. So they got this month good, but they do need to get funding. Um, and they got some warrants, they got some shelf capacity, but it's all pretty small. So the catalyst is they had orders for SidePath Lung. They got a lot of orders for that. Surged by 1,400% in demand, driven by higher physician adoption. So doctors are using their product in theory, if we believe them. I don't know for sure. I don't know for not. And that is BIAP.
Yeah, taking a look at the daily.
Bioaffinity.
What's that?
Bioaffinity.
Bioaffinity. Cheapy, another one in this cheap price range, 50 to 80 cents a share, up 177%. Looks like that news got going yesterday into the close. Right at 4 o'clock Eastern, we saw a spike from the 20-cent area all the way up into the 80s. Today, we're just kind of consolidating amongst those afternoon ranges, holding this 65-cent area as support this morning. Haven't done a whole lot more spiking, but we'll see out of the gate if we get kind of a rip through those areas and push towards the dollar, or if we kind of use that area as resistance and fade off. Don't see a ton of earnings winners at 70 cents. But that seems to be the news, huh? And if we look further back, not a ton of volume down here on the chart. So, even though the stock is range bound and volatile-ish every month, it really isn't doing any real volume, 100K a day or less. And there's not really any big volume going back on this chart to really think about using the stock as a gauge, its behavior as a gauge for what we might see today. It's at the bottom, it's top left to bottom right, sitting at its lows, bouncing back into prior resistance, but kind of a fresh daily chart, if you ask me, on a turd. And potentially good news in the low price theme this week. And we'll see what it does. I don't know if you have any special thoughts on it, but not a lot of resistance overhead and some decent news.
My thoughts are special. That's where I want to kind of start.
Okay.
I don't really subscribe to the whole earnings winner type of conversation. Again, that's just my view of the market. As you guys out there that are watching this kind of develop your own views of the market, you get to have your own views of the market. I don't really care that the price action spiked because this company is reporting good earnings. It's an 80-cent ticker at the end of the day, and that's what really matters to me. If it's an earnings winner and it's like a bigger company, ideally not a small cap, then I'll start to I believe earnings. I'm like, okay, great, that's good for the company. Like they're really a turnaround story, or they're really doing something astronomical for shareholders. I just don't believe that that's actually happening in these cheap ranges. And in my experience, more often than not, these things are scams. And unless someone really shows me some concrete data that a stock that goes up 100% because they reported earnings the night before typically holds its gains, I will not believe that it will hold its gains. Unless you show me the data. No one showed me that data. People have told me to avoid earnings winner, but no data attributed to that type of vernacular. And so my view of the market is I don't believe an 80-cent ticker can really be an earnings winner, and it could equally fail just like any other ticker that releases some PR that sounds good, but at the end of the day, the ticker's trash. There's overhead resistance, there's bag holders, there's shareholders that want to get out of their crap position, and they're going to use this reactionary price action to sell. That's what I think is the name of the game here, right? You have these charts that are beaten down. You have people that are in from much higher that believed a past story and got destroyed from it. And now they've come to the resolution that here's another story and I want to sell into it instead of go back to being at 40 cents. And the new people that believe this story end up at 40 cents. And it becomes this rinse, wash, repeat process, which is why I try my best not to long in small cap, because I think a lot of these things are landmines. I don't want to go around believing that this company has whatever the number was, an increase in revenues, and that Biaf, and I'm searching Twitter and I'm like, well, is Biaf the next like best biopharmaceutical company? I don't want to go down that storyline because I think there's very low odds that that storyline even exists in the first place. So that's kind of my view. I'm going to treat it like any other gapper, very similar to RSLS. I'm going to do what I'm going to do with it. And if I take a loss, I take a loss, and I'm just going to chalk that up to, that happens.
Awesome. Okay. That's BIAF. We've talked about RSLS. Did you say PRTG was one?
It's not.
Huh?
No, there's no real other ones that we should
Okay.
talk about.
Well, someone brought up PRTG, said possible liquidity trap. Yep, maybe. Kind of a double top on that daily chart into 13. Did have a red day yesterday where it closed red on 600,000 shares. But the initial one was only like a 200% move. And I would just note that there's a little precedence here going back on the daily chart. You see a very similar day one into the same area with the same range, and that one didn't get its volume back. So liquidity traps, I think, are tough because I don't think you can just look at every single stock that has volume and then the volume disappears. You have to be able to tie that to shorts and being able to exit their position. And if that doesn't exist, then the stock just continues to go lower and longs get bagged. So I don't have the skill set that's able to figure that out. I try to attach them to patterns, and if they don't fit patterns due to certain criteria, I stay away. I don't want to be doing thinking. Thinking's not for me. I don't know how to do that. But PRTG, it's not a reversal for me, but maybe it does bounce.
It's like, again, there's like all of these euphemisms or words that you hear within the stock trading community. Like maybe don't short earnings winners is one of them, right? I'm just giving an example. You get to choose to believe what you want to believe or choose to back up and research what you want to research. We're just kind of giving the information here. I think liquidity trap is one of those phrases that we probably would do better off not knowing existed as a whole. I think some people maybe actually might, it's not me, I don't know, but I think some people out there maybe actually might know what that is and how to decipher that from what Dom said, which is what you're going to see all the time is stock goes on a big run, stocks loses volume the next day. That will almost always happen. Like that is 70% of the time what is going to be the result into the next day. And so if we're always calling the next day after a big run a liquidity trap, we're going to be in a situation where we're staring at stocks that just have no liquidity and then continue to fall off a cliff. And then some of them will squeeze and you'll be proven quote unquote correct, but there's really no rhyme or reason. It's just some squeeze and some don't, and it's random. So again, like we hear a lot about liquidity trap. I would caution that, like, do you really know what that is? Or is there really any data behind it? And I think for a lot of traders, it's probably causing them a nightmare. And I don't know, that's just my superstition. It's not something that I would never look at a chart and say, this is a liquidity trap, I want to be long or short. I would never do that because I just don't really know how to qualify it. And I don't really know what the results would be given my superstition that it is. So to each their own, right? I just want you guys to really think about the words you use and the way that you apply them and the actions that they kind of cause you to make, and make sure that what you're doing is truly rooted in good research and good disciplinary qualifications for the reasons that you're doing it. That's what's going to make a good trader, right?
Yeah, and that's what that term means for me. It's like, unless it's attached to another pattern, which usually is going to be a reversal or first green day, it's really difficult for me to know for a fact that that's even what's happening. And so if I'm only trading it off fundamentals or from a perspective of volume versus the amount of shorts in, and I can't actually quantify what that is, I have no way of knowing every single time what actually happened. And those are the toughest things to do, I think, in the market, is to know whether you're doing the right thing or whether you're doing the wrong thing. And the less criteria you have, the harder that is to know, which is why I think finding a balance with the technicals is important as well. Okay, any other questions that we can hit? Someone mentioned MLGO. We can hit that one and get on out of here. Insane
This is
says
again
volume
what I
on
mean
day
by,
one
like,
has to be at least 100 mil for liquidity trap.
Well, they're arguing about it now.
Yeah.
The
It's like the third
This
day
is what I mean by
surge.
like the attention's going to be. This is what I mean by the attention's going to be spread out. Like you have ICCT day 2 gap up, you have MLGO multi-day breakout continuing higher today. You have 2 gappers that are up 100%. You have an IPO that's up 800%. So like the attention's going to be spread out. There's a lot of possibilities for a lot of different traders, and that makes for, I think, a better market condition for huddie.
What was the IPO?
NMAX.
Can you tell me again? What is it?
N as in Nancy. M as in Michael. AX.
AX? There it is.
AX. Apple. Xavier.
Xavier. The heck is that? That looks sketch. Wow. All right, everybody. We are going to head on out of here. We will be live again tomorrow at 9:15 a.m. for another episode of Good Morning Nasdaq. We'll do some live trading with Kyle. Hopefully we can get that stream going for you, and he'll be here. I hope you have a great start to your new month, great start to your April. I hope you do your monthly reviews. I know Kyle probably already put his out, his monthly review. I'll be doing mine in the next week as I get back home and settle back in. But decent month for me. Definitely missed out on some good opportunity. But going into the new month, it's just rinse, wash, repeat. Get down to the good habits. Find consistency. And, whatever type of month it is, there should be enough opportunity for me to have a decent month. And that's my perspective going into every day and every single month. And if I can carry that forward every single week and every single month all year long, I should have a very consistent year that results in 12 green months and a very green year. So that's my goal. Excited for the turning of the page into April. And I wish you all the best of luck as well. And we will see you tomorrow morning for another episode of Good Morning Nasdaq. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.